Most students think grades are about intelligence, but intelligence is rarely the problem. The real problem is inconsistency disguised as effort. Many students work hard sometimes, study seriously for a few days, then disappear for weeks. They believe motivation will return and carry them forward, but motivation never stays long enough to matter. This is the story of how grades actually change, not through talent, not through pressure, not through sudden discipline, but through quiet repetition that feels boring and ordinary. If you are an F student right now, or a D student, or even a C student who feels stuck, this is not a story about becoming smart overnight. This is a story about becoming reliable. And reliability changes everything. An F grade does not mean failure. It means inconsistency has won for now. Most failing students are not lazy, they are overwhelmed. They sit down to study and feel the weight of everything they don't understand, so they escape. Avoidance feels like relief, but relief creates distance, and distance creates fear. Over time, the subject becomes something you fear opening. This fear is not academic, it is emotional. And emotion is the enemy of consistency. The first shift does not begin with studying harder, it begins with sitting down without expecting confidence. Waiting to feel ready is how people stay stuck. Progress begins when you sit down while feeling unready. At first, studying feels pointless. One page does not change a grade. One problem does not fix confusion. That is why most people quit early. They are measuring progress emotionally instead of mechanically. The brain does not learn through intensity, it learns through exposure. When you expose yourself daily, even briefly, the subject becomes familiar. Familiarity reduces fear. Reduced fear allows focus. Focus allows improvement. But none of this feels dramatic in the beginning. It feels slow, quiet, and unrewarding. That is why consistency is rare. When grades begin at F, the first improvement is not knowledge, it is attendance. Showing up at the desk at the same time every day matters more than how long you stay. 10 minutes daily beats 3 hours once a week. The brain trusts patterns, not promises. When you study at the same time every day, the brain stops resisting. It no longer asks whether you feel like it, it simply follows the pattern. This is when effort decreases. Most students believe discipline is about force. It is not. Discipline is about removing decisions. You do not decide whether to study today. You already decided when you made the schedule. This removes negotiation, and negotiation is where students lose. The consistent student does not feel stronger, they feel automatic. Automatic behavior beats emotional effort every time. As days pass, understanding improves slowly, not enough to feel confident, but enough to feel less lost. This is the D stage. D is not success, but it is movement. The mistake many students make here is celebrating too early and relaxing the routine. Consistency does not improve because results appear. Results appear because consistency stays. This is where most progress dies. The student thinks they are safe now. They are not. Consistency must continue, even when things feel better. The C stage arrives quietly. The subject no longer feels foreign. Mistakes are still made, but they are specific, not overwhelming. You no longer feel stupid, you feel unfinished. This is an important shift. Confidence does not come from high grades, it comes from understanding what you don't know. At this stage, studying feels lighter, not because it is easier, but because resistance has disappeared. Resistance was never about difficulty, it was about fear. The difference between a C student and a B student is not intelligence, it is repetition. B students practice when they already understand. This feels unnecessary to most people, so they skip it, but repetition strengthens recall. Exams reward recall under pressure, not understanding during calm moments. Consistent practice trains the brain to retrieve information automatically. This is why B students perform better even with similar knowledge. The A stage is not dramatic. There is no celebration, no sudden confidence boost. A students are calm because they trust their process. They know they showed up enough times that results are inevitable. They no longer ask if they will pass, they ask how well they will perform. This mindset shift is subtle but powerful. It is built through months of quiet consistency. What most people never tell students is this: motivation does not create consistency. Consistency creates motivation. Once progress becomes visible, motivation follows naturally. Waiting for motivation first is backwards. Action creates belief, not the other way around. Teachers notice consistent students differently, not because they are favorites, but because they are predictable. Predictability builds trust. Trust leads to guidance. Guidance accelerates improvement. Consistency compounds socially as well as academically. Even after reaching an A, the routine must remain, not because grades will disappear instantly, but because identity is fragile. You are not an A student because you got an A. You are an A student because you behave like one daily. Behavior sustains identity, not results. This approach works for any subject: math, science, language, even skills outside school. The system is universal. Show up daily, reduce decisions, repeat small actions, protect routine, let results lag behind effort, trust compounding. If you are struggling now, understand this: you do not need confidence, you do not need motivation, you do not need talent. You need a system you can follow on bad days. The students who succeed are not stronger, they are steadier. If this message feels quiet, that is intentional. Real change is quiet. Loud motivation fades. Silent discipline lasts. And now the most important part. If you want to change your grades, do not promise yourself anything dramatic. Promise one small action at one fixed time tomorrow. Then repeat it the next day and the next. Do not track emotion. Track attendance. Show up even when it feels useless, especially then. If this perspective helped you, return to it tomorrow. Listen again. Let it reinforce the habit you are building. And if you want more calm, honest guidance like this, support the channel by subscribing, not for motivation, but for consistency. Because the student who wins is not the one who feels inspired. It is the one who shows up again.